we're not asking the readiness question. We're asking, are they committed, not ready? Because commitment becomes the catalyst for that progress, improvement, and resilience. And then as they're going along this continuous journey, we're really asking, what are those change challenges? Which ones are the most prevalent in their organization? Which ones will surface? What do we need to do to recognize and overcome them? So the question isn't about readiness. It's about commitment, and it's also assessing for change challenges.
Welcome to Culture Change RX, the podcast for healthcare professionals that are committed to creating a thriving workplace culture, improving the experiences of employees and patients, and ultimately unlocking their organization's next level of potential. I'm Sue Tetzloff, your host and co-founder of Capstone Leadership Solutions. Join me and my insightful guests each week as we share actionable insights for navigating the crucial people side of the business of healthcare. Subscribe now for a weekly dose of Culture Change RX. Now let's dive into this week's conversation where culture change takes center stage.
Welcome to this episode of Culture Bytes. So this is a shorter solo episode, and I'm going to start today with a quote: "Masters never don't do the basics." So today's topic is about readiness for culture transformation. I'm going to tee this up with a little bit of context. As our company, Capstone, and our team goes about its work and has been doing this work for well over a dozen years with dozens of healthcare organizations, we're partnering with them to help them adopt or elevate a framework that systematically and continuously strengthens their strategic pillars of people, service, and quality. This work really aligns with that organization's commitment to executing on their long-term strategic priorities for continually improving the patient experiences and the employee experiences. This type of initiative may get labeled as something like a journey to greatness, a journey to excellence, or even cultural transformation. When we're working with our client organizations, our partners, we ask them to actually give it a name and brand it as something that's long-term and branded and sustainable and creates ownership for this important work in their organization that is long-term. It's a long-term commitment and something that isn't a project to be started and ended, but will go on and on. So when we're having those conversations with organizations early on who are looking for help, like the help that we provide, and providing our framework, our systematic approach, and they're looking to adopt that, incorporate it into their approach, oftentimes they'll ask us, can we have some sort of readiness assessment to see, are we ready to do this work? And we don't do that. That's not something that we have, is a readiness assessment. And I'll tell you why. So when you ask the question of readiness, you're really assessing, are the conditions right? Is this the right time? Our belief is, and we hold this very near and dear, our belief is that leading a healthcare organization demands that you have a well-defined plan and approach that is working to continually strengthen your organization's people, service, and quality pillars. That this is your core business basics represented in these pillars. And therefore, there is no better or right time or conditions in which to do this work. This work must always be a strategic priority. And then everything else strategic on your plan for things you want to grow, improve, add, etc., any other things related to your strategic priorities get assessed for readiness in the face of this reality that people, service, and quality, those strategic priorities are always a priority. They are your core business. And masters never don't commit to doing the basics and continually strengthening those basics. So in essence, strengthen these pillars are the foundations of your core business, and fundamental to your organization's long-term success. So continually improving your people, service, and quality pillars is not an optional endeavor or something that we can put on the back burner until we're ready. It's kind of like our health, right? If we aren't continually taking action to keep ourselves healthy, then eventually we're going to experience a health crisis and we're going to be required, ready or not, to treat disease. So it's very much like that in our healthcare organizations. So we don't do a readiness assessment. Readiness when it comes to improving your core business and having strategies that you're prioritizing and executing on to do that is not an issue of readiness. What do we do instead? So we actually assess for change challenges. That's really what we're looking for is if you're committed to these core basics as strategic priorities that you are always going to have at the top, then we're looking at what are the challenges we will face in achieving this, right? Of making these improvements. So the real questions aren't readiness, it's how will we do this? What challenges will we face when we do? How do we calm down those distractions of day-to-day operations and the whirlwind so we can get at this proactive work of continually improving our people, service, and quality pillars? What are those competing priorities, right? So in the face of this prioritized work, we have to ask, what are those competing priorities? Are we ready to commit to updating or replacing our electronic health record, doing major renovations or building new buildings, enter into secondary markets, starting new service lines? So we ask about our readiness for those competing priorities in the face of our commitment to improving the people, service, and quality pillars, prioritizing the employee and patient experience as core, fundamental strategic priorities that are always going to be at the top. Now, as you get really, really strong in these pillars, and we work with organizations that are very, very strong in these pillars, then actually the time and energy that you need to put into that, it's always going to be there, right? But once you get that really core strength there, those other strategies you can have more of those in growth and financial strategies. You can have more of those. You can have bigger ones of those because you can leverage the strength in people, service, and quality to make those strategies actually happen easier and quicker. It's really about looking at the balance of that and making sure that people, service, and quality, especially when it needs to be shored up and it's not performing at top ranking, award-winning levels, are you ready to go after that work? You have to be, right? You have to be going after that. And once you get really core strength there, then those other strategic questions, you're ready for more of those kind of strategic endeavors because you have this strength here. We don't ask the question, are you ready to do this work, to improve? You have to be ready to do this work. And maybe the better question is, what will happen if you don't, right? So when we're working with organizations, we're helping them make the decision to engage our framework, to adopt our framework as their strategic approach, as the way they're going to execute on being successful in these core strategies. We're not asking the readiness question. We're asking, are they committed, not ready? Because commitment becomes the catalyst for that progress, improvement, and resilience. And then as they're going along this continuous journey, we're really asking, what are those change challenges? Which ones are the most prevalent in their organization? Which ones will surface? What do we need to do to recognize and overcome them? So the question isn't about readiness. It's about commitment. And it's also assessing for change challenges and being able to understand which of those are most prevalent in the organization and how to overcome them, given the commitment to these core strategies of people, service, and quality. So again, for these core business strategies, readiness isn't a question. This work must start, ready or not.
Thanks for tuning in to Culture Change RX. If you found value in today's episode and you are a believer in fostering change in healthcare, join us in making a difference. Follow, rate, and review our podcast on your favorite platform. Share it with colleagues and your network. Together, we can make a lasting impact. Until next week, keep inspiring positive change.